Hey everybody, welcome to my first YouTube video on my first YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure if I look back on a year from now, it's gonna be a little cringy. So I just bought my vintage dream car and it's pretty awesome, but I do feel a little conflicted. Let me tell you about it. You know, growing up, I never was really into cars. I just wasn't one of those kids who was into it. I was more into video games. But one day when I was 15, I somehow convinced a friend of mine to let me drive her car around the block. It was an 88 Jeep Wrangler. It was kind of a piece of junk. But whatever, that's what you do when you're a teenager, right? So honestly, within the first 30 seconds or so, I was hooked. Fast forward a couple of years, I'm at a vintage car show and I'm taking a look at a lot of the American classics. I really came to love those cars. Out of nowhere, this car comes into view and it's got these lines unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I mean, this thing was absolutely killer. My jaw just dropped. And so did everything else I was doing for that matter. I had to go take a look at it. And that car was a '69 Corvette Stingray. I knew then I had to have one. The problem was Corvettes weren't cheap. They're not exactly cheap now either, and especially not '69 Stingrays. So it would take quite a while for me to be able to save up, not to mention to save up for a place to actually be able to store it. Well, some 20 years later, I finally did it. I bought my vintage dream car, a '69 Corvette Stingray. Let's talk specs. Alright, so under the hood is the high output small block, the L46 350. It's got high 11:1 compression, 4-bolt main, a 4-barrel Rochester quadrijet, and a hydraulic cam. All of this is good for 350 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. And behind all that is a Muncie 4-speed close ratio manual. As for this specific car, it's a hardtop convertible finished in Cortez silver. The interior and soft top are black vinyl, and at all 4 corners are disc brakes with 4-piston calipers sitting behind rally wheels. Alright, so let's talk first impressions and why I feel a little conflicted about this thing. So first, it gets a lot of attention, like a lot of attention. And as much as I don't like to admit it, I kinda enjoy the attention. Just a little bit. So as you would imagine, the car has a lot of power and a ton of torque. You can really feel this thing throw you back into the seat. But bear in mind, it's a sports car, and sports cars have sport handling. And at least back then, this car handled pretty well for the time, I guess. But for whatever reason, Corvette just could not balance ride quality with handling. Needless to say, it's a bit harsh. The thing is, these cars are known for that. They are very harsh, they are loud, they are creaky, and you feel like everything on the road. Add to that this is a pretty Spartan car. It's got like no options, including no power brakes and no power steering, which isn't a big deal. unless you're at a stop or trying to do the 3-point turn.
God! Yeah. America!
Needless to say, this car does have its drawbacks. It is loud, it's creaky, it's kind of a bear to maneuver at times. Honestly, it's kind of like driving a big bowling ball. But maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. It is pretty fun to drive, and after all, it is a Corvette. Alright, so what do I think and where do we go from here? Well, despite its shortcomings, I still absolutely adore this car. It definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, but if you couldn't already tell, I kind of knew what I was getting into with this thing. And you know what else? It doesn't always have to be harsh or difficult to maneuver or handle. There's a ton of aftermarket for these cars, and I intend on doing quite a lot of fun stuff with this thing. Now, granted, before all the purists get upset with me for making the car unoriginal, trust me, this car wasn't very original to begin with. In fact, honestly, the only thing that's really original about it is the engine block. It's a numbers matching car, but even that can be faked. But don't worry, I do intend on at least keeping the engine. For now. Alright everyone, thanks so much for watching till the end. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I look forward to seeing you soon.